we're nowhere near the level of pain that we need for people to go, okay, I thought it was a good idea, but it ain't.
Yeah. On this episode of Yeah, Okay Boomer, we're going to do things a little bit differently. My dad and I wanted to do a kind of a recap on how Trump 2.0 is going in the first approximately 200 days of his second term. But instead of just doing it 200 days in and looking back, we thought we'd break it into two different segments. First one is about 90 to 100 days into his term, where we sit together in person in Amsterdam and discuss the progress, or lack thereof. And then we regroup about 200 days in and then look back on how things are going at that point. So I hope you enjoy this episode. There'll be two segments put into one, coming to you from Amsterdam. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Amsterdam.
Wonderful to be here.
This is our first Okay Boomer, Yeah, Okay Boomer, since I think before the 2024 presidential election.
Yep.
So we're here in Amsterdam catching up, and I thought we could start with maybe a little bit of a post-mortem after the election, because we're just at about the 90-day marker of Trump's second term. And so first, before we get into it, before I, take your opinion and just discuss where we are with where we are in the world, I wanted to read out 10 things that I had written down, 10 of Trump's promises before the election, and 10 of the Democrats' top fears. And then we can talk about kind of how things are actually playing out. Number one, end the war in Ukraine on day one. So we're 90 days in, we're practically zero progress there, maybe even going backwards.
No check.
And number two, mass deportations, build the wall, stop immigration. He's made some progress on that, but
check
with some hitches going on there. Number three, bring down the cost of eggs / inflation.
No check.
No wars. Number five, tariffs on China, other countries.
Check.
Number six, repeal Obamacare. Remember the quote concepts of a plan that Trump had? So
he's working on it.
Number seven, drill baby drill.
He's working on it.
Going there, yeah. Number eight, dictator on day one. So I think
sort of
making some progress on that.
Yeah.
And then here are the top fears for Dems. Number one, abandon Ukraine and NATO allies.
Pretty much a check.
Number two, federal abortion ban, limit IVF, in vitro fertilization.
Nada.
Not yet. Number three, prosecute enemies, retribution.
Oh, check.
Number four, escalate tensions with Iran. War. Tensions.
Maybe.
Number five, tariffs that in effect become national sales tax, increase prices.
Working on it.
Yep. Number six, health care, eliminate coverage for pre-existing conditions or repeal Obamacare.
In process.
And number seven, the big one, eliminate Social Security.
Thinking hard about it.
Yeah, thinking hard, trying. So we're 90 days into Trump's second term, as we said. A ton of stuff has happened. We haven't had an Yeah, Okay Boomer since before the election. So give me a quick rundown of the post-mortem of the 2024 election.
Okay, first off, I'm a boomer, and I am a progressive. The first thing is that I wanted Kamala Harris to win. I voted for her. But I was very concerned because of if you back up 30,000 feet and look at the progression of what has happened in American politics, where first we have a black man, who I voted for 8 years, and he was vilified by the right unceasingly throughout that entire time. And then, to follow it up, the Democrats ran a woman.
Right.
And that's important. And she lost, surprisingly, very surprisingly. And then they ran an old white guy, and he won. And then they turned around and said, okay, let's run a black woman. Okay. Now, I voted for all these Democratic candidates. But I also understand that Trump, throughout this entire decade, we've been listening to him, sort of the right-wing whisperer. He, in the way that he speaks, the way that he presents himself, the words he uses, the dances he does, he's basically saying to the nation, you know, I am your guy to get back your rights. And what I mean by that is that when we look at the 2024 election, I was wrong. I thought that Kamala Harris could have won. I think she should have won, but she didn't win.
But there was no mandate. Let me just, for the record, I think she won by a little over 1%, and Trump didn't even have 50% of the national vote. He had under 50%.
The question of whether he won by a mandate is a separate issue.
False,
the fact of the matter
false
is,
narrative there.
Fact of the matter is that he won the popular vote, not by much. He won the Electoral College.
Yep.
Okay.
He did.
So
legitimately.
Like
Biden did in 2020.
Yeah.
Just for the
this, you know, I had to go back myself and do a post-mortem. Why did I get it wrong?
Yeah.
And I was really stunned to realize the realization that came to me is that, you know, ever since 1965, which I was there for, there has been a progressive movement in this country through the 70s and 80s and 90s and aughts that basically said, we're not going to be a racist nation, and we're not going to be misogynistic, and we're not going to be xenophobic. But the truth of the matter turns out to be, even though it's a slim majority, the election proves without any doubt that we are fundamentally a lot more racist, misogynistic, xenophobic. You're either, you know, some people are one of those, some people are all three of them, but whatever the case is. And this was really brought home to me by a remark about the election made to me by a woman that I know, where she said, you know, I voted for Trump. And I said, how come? And she said, well, you know, Trump, this Kamala Harris, she says, I just couldn't vote for her. I couldn't trust her.
Yeah.
I didn't trust her. So on one hand, you have like the Antichrist, right? And on the other hand, you have this woman that you have this very vague feeling of, I just can't trust her. So I'm going to go with the Antichrist.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and I'm just like going, wow.
The devil you know versus the devil
right,
you don't,
because, well, the feeling of mistrust of a woman is part of misogyny. It is in this woman, right? This person is talking about it because misogyny is part of our long-term culture as human beings and as descendants of Western Europe and so forth and so on. And it lingers in the bones of people, right? You know, women can't really trust. It was one thing to say, well, Hillary Clinton is shrill and she's nasty and this and that and the other thing. But when you're talking about Kamala Harris, people are talking about just the way she laughs makes me uncomfortable. And what basically happens is that Trump has given permission to the right to fly their freak flag. That it's okay with him. In fact, he's one of them. That if you want to get past this wokeism and this progressive movement that says, you know, you really can't be openly racist. You really can't openly denigrate women. You can't really openly just hate immigrants and vilify them as the curse of the country and so forth. He's saying it's okay. I'm going to let you do that because I'm going to do that. And you know what? Turns out that he let loose. There were lots of Democrats who voted for him. This is in us in a way that transcends or sublimates policy and politics. It comes down to this feeling when you get in the voting booth. Yeah, you know, she's a woman, or she's black, or you know, she's for immigrants, and everything that white nationalism stands for, everything that the right has been fighting for since the end of the Civil War, and it's a long struggle. Here's their moment. They finally get someone who's unabashedly one of them. And he's up there saying, I'm going to give you back your freedom of speech. In other words, the freedom to be just as racist or misogynistic or xenophobic as you want to be. And baby, I'm going to too. And it's okay. And I'm going to defend you. And I'm going to be everything up to and including retribution for the people that have suppressed you, saying you can't walk around saying the N-word, you can't put women down, women should have their place. And if you just keep listening to the rhetoric that's coming out of the right, where they want to go back to 1950. He wants to go back to 1980, but they want to go back to 1950.
Right.
And there's a whole lot of dynamics involved. There's the people still fighting the Civil War, states' rights versus the overarching federal government.
Yeah.
There's the whole business of let's turn the country into a theocracy. You know, there's the whole business of tear down this government. You know, we don't. You know, all of this, and there's
deep state,
deep grievances about globalization and the price of all of that.
Yeah.
So, I think that the election exposed us as a country for what we really are.
Yeah.
We really are just what people think of us.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people in the first time Trump was elected said, you know, I'm so sorry, and this was a fluke, and this was somehow a, you know, one-off situation. And then the second time it happens, everyone's saying, wait a second, you guys you just did it again. You chose it. Like all of our allies, Europeans, and, you know, everybody around the world are just dumbfounded.
I mean, the Democrats are persisting in what is their natural drive. So we're going to put a black man in the presidency. We're going to try to put a woman in, first woman president. Then we're going to try the first black woman president. We are poking that bear, and eventually the bear wakes up and says, "Nope." And I think that's where we are. And I think it's important for Democrats, progressive, liberals, to recognize the reality that this war we thought we were winning, we haven't won it. And it's a long...
The war for equality, multiculturalism,
you know, all of this stuff that we're, right? This war isn't anywhere near over. We're not going to go back, but we're not going to go to where they want to go. But we have to face the reality of what this country is and who this country is. And we are in for a long fight. I mean, we can list the things that Trump says and does, but they all speak to the exact same narrative. We are a country that loves a conspiracy. We are a country that loves to be conned. We're getting conned all day long in every way. But we've never been conned.
The big con.
The big con. This is the big con.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that the seeds of destruction exist inside of Trump. You know, it's really hard to hold the con. You know, it's one thing for the dog to chase the car, but what does he do when he catches it, right? And that's where we're at right now.
Right.
And he thinks that, you know, this is a man, and this is part of what makes a good con man, is that at some point you have to believe your own con. You got to be like 99.9% committed to it, because otherwise people see through it, right? So he has to maintain this con.
I have to give it to him. He's good at that, right? He's carried on with the 2020 election was stolen. You know, Russia. He's created...
Yeah, he may be a cardboard cutout of a human being, but as a con, This is his one and only skill.
Yeah.
It is what he has practiced his entire life.
Yeah.
He understands how to punish and be relentless about getting revenge and so forth and so on, and maintaining the facade of the con. And so he has no choice but to double down and then double down again.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the problem he will have, because the seeds of his own destruction are built in that.
Yeah.
If you think these 90 days have been crazy,
We'll check
we
in
haven't
here in
even
another 90.
we haven't even gotten to where the actual pain starts.
Yeah. These are the two fronts that maybe we can talk a little bit more about, right? The economic down impact that's coming,
and the rule of law,
and the rule of law coming from the envy of the world economy.
So
now.
let me start with the economy.
Yeah.
First off, the American economy cannot be killed. The Great Depression didn't kill it. The Civil War didn't kill it. World War II didn't kill it. The Great Recession didn't kill it. COVID didn't kill it. You cannot kill this economy.
You can hurt it though. You can hurt it.
You can hurt it.
You can hurt it pretty well.
Oh yeah, you can make a mess.
You can put a
you
big
can
dent
hurt
in
it.
it,
You
set
can
it
put a
back.
big dent in it, right? And this all, we can have 9/11 and go to war for a long time, right? You can hurt it, but you can't kill it. You can't keep it down for long. It has too many advantages. The advantages that the American economy have dwarf every other country on earth and any other country in history. Okay? It is perfectly positioned to thrive over time forever, unless, of course, we burn the planet to a crisp.
Well.
But then again, we're all in that boat when
Yeah.
should that happen.
Yeah.
So first off, that's why I'm perfectly. It's sad but true. I mean, there has to be a lot more pain.
Yeah.
He's got to hurt the economy, and it's got to be hurt that goes below the super rich,
Yeah.
the businesses, the middle class, the
Yeah,
retirees, and goes all the way down to the bottom of
To his voters.
the population,
to
his voters.
Well, we want that because we want him to be restrained by Congress, who is doing nothing, and Congress is not reacting because
He owns them.
the damage. Trump owns his voters.
It's a question of timing. I want
Right.
him to be stopped ultimately,
yeah.
right? But in the meantime, between here and then, he has to be free. And I won't say let him go. I
Sure.
just mean that he will continue to do this and create pain.
Yeah.
And that pain has to be a lot worse than
Right.
it is today.
Because the alternative is he creates pain, he does all these destructive things, he hurts Americans, he hurts the American economy, and many other things. It hurts the global, it hurts our relationships. But if it's not enough pain, then he will just continue to
That's
do
right.
that, and we will have the effects of
Right.
the pain without the response to the pain, which is Congress holding him accountable. And
No, it's the
holding him-
people
the
voting these idiots
the
out.
people voting Congress out because they do
Yes.
nothing to hold
Right.
Trump accountable.
And we're nowhere near the level of pain that we need
Right.
for people to go, okay, I thought it was a good idea, but it ain't.
Yeah, turns
Okay?
out
All these guys in Congress, right? So we're really a long ways away from that. Now we're coming up on midterms, and I think that Trump, he's got 3-4 months before some real pain starts to show up.
as a result of the tariffs, primarily.
Partially the tariffs.
Yeah.
But at this point, even if he was to show up and say, okay, forget the whole tariff idea, he has already sown so much uncertainty into the economy
Yeah.
that everybody's like, yeah, you say
don't know
that
if we
now,
believe
but
you.
I have no idea what you're going to say after that.
Right.
Okay. So him keeping the con running causes him to wildly gyrate all over the place, and he's feeling, probing, touching, trying to see what how far he can go,
Where the boundaries are
and he's
at.
got all these people pushing him towards their agenda, but we're not anywhere near the level of pain that it would require to get over the structural deficit that Democrats have in Congress, to get rid of enough of these idiots that you could have a chance. Now,
Yeah.
the House of Representatives is what is an important thing, but the structural deficit against the Senate, this is an unfortunate consequence, unforeseen by the founders. They built in every possible thing they could think of to keep a populist president from showing up and thus trying to become king.
Yeah.
But what they didn't foresee was the tremendous shift of people living in rural areas to cities.
Right.
And that compartmentalization left behind, the opportunity to get people elected. You automatically have 2 from every state.
2 senators in South Dakota
Right.
that represent 75 people
nothing
versus New
compared-
York City. New
Right.
York has millions and millions of people.
Right. So there's a structural disadvantage.
Right.
You know,
So we need
40% of the population in the Senate has 60% of the
power.
power.
Right.
So this is unfortunate, and that leads me to the second question, talking about the rule of law.
Right.
Okay, just back up a second, because I've been following Trump since 1991, 92. Okay, a long time watching this guy.
Yeah.
And he was taught by his dad and by Roy Cohn, there is no contract that he can't figure out a crack in it. He has had thousands of contracts with people to do work for him and his business and so forth, and he's found a way to violate every one of them.
Yeah.
And he's found a way to, if he can't do it by some legal trick, some alternate reading of the contract, he'll do it through fear and intimidation and bluster. Okay? And he's been enormously successful doing this. The U.S. Constitution to him is a contract. And he's got a lot of people helping him parse every word. And he's got people on the Supreme Court helping him do that.
And now for the second half. All right, Dad. Well, welcome back. I know we're now in the, let's say, second half of this segment, which is taking a look at Trump's, let's say, approximately first 200 days in office. We were together. It was great to be with you in Amsterdam, a few months ago, where we talked through kind of what's going on with democracy in the first, let's say, 90 to 100 days of his second term. And then today we'll pick that conversation up, talk about, the continued or the threats to the rule of law and some other things, and just get your view on how, let's say, things are going in this first period. But let me just really quickly start with a couple quotes that I captured from what you said before that I thought were pretty funny. So he may be a cardboard cutout of a human being, but as a con, this is his one and only skill. This is what he's been practicing his entire life. Yes. And you also said that we are nowhere near the level of pain that we need for people to go, quote, okay, I thought it was a good idea to vote for Trump, but it ain't. So that was then. That was, halfway through the 200 first, 90, 100 days in. Let's catch up for the next 20, 30 minutes on, has there been enough pain? We can talk about tariffs, the economy, rule of law. So welcome back. How's it going?
Thank you so much. I've slept a few times since we talked, so to reconstruct a little bit, part of what we were discussing was based on something I told you a long time ago, that economic historians say that a country that has 3 things has a really good chance of being very, very prosperous.
Yeah.
Okay? One, of course, is geographical, a sufficient amount of geographical isolation. You just don't have your neighbors looking in your windows all day long at your stuff.
The
We
threats,
have that in
threats
spades.
nearby. We don't
Yep.
have threats nearby.
That no one presses us in any way.
Right.
Secondly, you have a reasonable assortment of natural resources. In other words, things you can trade with. Well, I don't
Mm.
have that, but I got lots of this, right? Well, we got that in spades. We have no problem with that. Yeah, we don't have everything under the sun. We're a little short of a few items, but we can trade for them.
Yeah.
As opposed, say, for instance, to Japan, that has really virtually just nothing. They have very few natural resources.
Yeah.
Okay, even though they're on an island. And the third thing we talked about that they talked about is the rule of law.
Yeah.
Now, what the heck is the rule of law? That's a huge subject. Are we talking about constitutional law? How the government is structured? Are we talking about all kinds of things? But there's something that we take for granted in the law that is present all the time. We don't even give it a second thought, right? And that is the business of certainty in business transactions.
Yeah.
Okay? Even if you're not a business, right? If you're an individual and you go and buy a house, right?
Yeah.
There's a high expectation that no one's going to flim flam you and stuff like that. In other words, corruption.
Yeah.
That when you write a contract, whether it's business or personal, that contract is enforceable. The laws of the country attempt to enforce that. There are remedies to all kinds of things. Now, people complain that the United States is a litigious society because they don't understand the difference between common law and civil law, but that's a different subject. Okay?
We sue a lot, I think.
Huh?
Right. Litigious.
Yeah, we're a
We
litigious
sue.
country because we are common
We
law, right?
sue. Right.
And that means that contracts don't try to specify every tiny little thing. If we come to blows over a contract, well, I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
that's
Right.
how it works. And by the way, Trump is a world-class litigious person. He has used the law as a cudgel his whole life. And one of the sickest people on earth, Roy Cohen, was his mentor and teacher.
Yeah. Right.
Okay? I mean, if you think that there's anything going on today that resembles McCarthyism, where Roy Cohen was McCarthy's chief legal advisor, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? So, anyways, this is an element of our legal life that we kind of take for granted. And you'd say, well, wait a minute. The more important things is the Supreme Court, it's the Congress, it's the this, it's the that. Okay? But eventually, when you have corruption, serious corruption within a government, it starts to filter down and show up in this area of law. Okay? And it is inevitable if he's in office long enough, he'll get there. You already see that businesses and especially the press, the fourth estate, are being extorted by the President of the United States. We are staring at this like a train wreck that we just can't believe. I mean, people are just going, what? I mean, we just cannot believe our eyes that this is happening. And
so
that
the merger of Paramount with Skydance is being threatened by the Trump administration, saying we won't allow.
It's an extortion.
Yeah, they're holding them hostage, and they're saying you don't get the government permissions of XYZ to merge or to operate in a certain way, we'll stop you and let you
Yep.
fire Stephen Colbert or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
et cetera. Yeah,
Right.
pay
I
16 million
mean,
George Stephanopoulos.
right. And there's many other instances of this,
Yeah,
and um, Trump has found himself where he has a tremendous amount of levers. If you have no ethics at all, the federal government is a wonderful instrument
yeah,
to force people to do what you want.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
some people argue the federal government gets what it wants through bribery because it pays the states to play in a way that the federal
Sure.
government wants them to. This is a quirk of our Constitution because of the great compromise in our Constitution. This is not extortion exactly or anything like what is criminally happening,
Right, right.
right? Well,
Different features.
this
Yeah,
process has already begun. It was going on 6 months into his presidency, and it's just going to expand as rapidly as he can. I
yeah.
think it's a race between that and his senility.
You mean him croaking, getting that double cheeseburger that's gonna,
Well, I mean, he's an old man, and
yeah,
he's starting to fray around the edges.
yeah, starting.
He's a
Well,
walking heart attack.
I'd be afraid
But I'm
that
not a doctor, so I don't know. I
sure.
just
Well, I wouldn't. I'd be afraid that it wouldn't end with Trump. I mean, I don't think J.D. Vance has any quorum, moral or ethical dilemmas with using the power in the same way. But anyway, let's not. We don't have to
okay.
go too far about that.
Just one note about that. Okay, he is the head of a cult. Trump is the head of a cult.
Oh, yeah.
He is a very powerful personality and magnet. J.D. Vance is just a loyal sycophant.
Yeah.
Right? JD's in it for himself, but he has zero of what Trump has that keeps the MAGA together. Trump derives all his power from MAGA, which is the largest cohort in the electorate that's really ever been seen that has managed to stay cohesively together.
Yeah.
Every cult in the history of society, when the head guy, the guy who built the cult, dies or is incapacitated, collapses. It's like a chicken without a head. It may run around in the yard for a year or two and spray blood on stuff, but eventually it's going to die. He is it. It isn't that J.D. Vance isn't a world-class prick and it won't try as hard as he possibly can to continue.
Yeah.
But nobody's afraid of him.
I know. I'm just saying that if Trump were to croak and JD were to be the president right now for the next year, couple of years, that he would probably try to use the same power or the same way. My point is, I don't think that if Trump were to move on and we get JD, that he would now start to not put the screws to universities and news organizations. I think this is part of their strategy, which is to, make everybody submit to them. And
there's Trump doesn't give a shit about almost any of this. Trump permits his different groups, constituencies, the Confederacy or the people that want a theocracy. He permits them, hey, look, as long as you guys vote for me, do whatever, have at it. You want to go over there and tear up, you don't like the Department of Education? Okay, take it. Yeah. Right? He doesn't care about any of that. He is all about self-aggrandizement, and his measuring stick is wealth. And as long as he is permitted to pursue his personal goals as president, the rest of it is, hey, I don't care if it's an added bonus.
Yeah.
If this upsets the woke elite.
The snowflakes, the liberal,
That's right.
Give me a Qatari plane. We'll retrofit it with billions of dollars, U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Right.
hear
right,
that?
right.
Yeah.
So the question is, can he maintain the appearance of competency much longer? So just to go back a little bit from what we were talking about, the
Yeah.
pain threshold that we have to go through. Well, first, we have to get to the ridicule stage, right? This is where he proves out to be so inept and his brain full of worms can't stay focused
RFK,
on a given path.
RFK Jr.'s brain full of worms or Trump's brain full of worms?
Trump's,
Oh,
right?
Trump.
Trump's.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, let's never mention J.D. Vance ever again.
Well, he's
Anyways,
a brain full of
Trump.
worms. I thought RFK. He's also got a brain full of worms.
Well, no, he's putting people who literally have a head full of worms,
Right.
and the crazier the better. All of this is I'm sticking my thumb in the eye of the elite, and I'll put
Yeah.
the
Joe
circus in
Schmo.
charge of the bearded lady in charge of the barbershop. I mean
Yeah.
this is all. He doesn't care about these things, and it's fun for him to get his revenge on the elite
Of course.
by putting these half-wits and maniacs, and I don't
Big
know,
ball.
there isn't a word strong enough for these people, but putting them in charge of everything. I mean, Pete Hegseth is some kind of a bobblehead doll, and he's put him in charge of the Defense Department. This is just another thumb in the eye. So, okay, as long as he gets rich and everybody thinks he's the greatest thing and he gets the Nobel Peace Prize and everybody names an airport after him, right? He wants to go down in history, and this is one of the neediest people you'll ever see. He needs constant affirmation,
Mhm.
constant recognition.
Yeah.
That's why when I say he's a two-dimensional cardboard cutout, he's missing the whole third dimension that
Sure.
deals with depth of human feeling. Okay,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
but with respect to the rule of law,
Yeah. Let's get into that.
he is putting on steroids
Mm-hmm.
the entire government, who is spending all of its time searching through the law,
Yeah. Right.
looking for some loophole
Yeah.
that they can use
As a
to
predicate.
A, maintain power, B, get a theocracy, C, get the South rise again, whatever their deal is. There's a bunch of them. There's a
Some
whole set of them.
statutory excuse to do something like put the troops into LA, the military in cities.
Sure.
All these are predicates to his
Right.
action that will probably lose in court, but he's like, that looks good. Use
Well,
that.
I mean, the Supreme Court is corrupted. Look, the Supreme Court has always been partisan. The idea that they're
Yeah.
fair witnesses in society and that they're wise old people that just, balance the scales of justice. This
They're all
has been bullshit from day one.
Yeah, right.
Justices have been putting their butts on the scale ever since it started. There is nothing in this life that is not political.
Sure.
Period. And when Roosevelt was president, and he he was talking about packing the Supreme Court because they were against him. But generally speaking, there have been super liberal courts, period. And when people tried to fight off the income tax or Social Security or Medicare or any other of this woke socialism, right? The court says, no, we interpret the Constitution, that's okay.
Yeah, right.
So turnaround's fair play. Now we got a group that say, oh no, we don't even bother with textualism or originalism anymore. We just say no, and we're not even going to give you an answer. We just say no.
Like, what is the Constitution? Yeah, I don't care what it says. We
Yeah,
made a
yeah,
rule.
yeah,
We
yeah.
made the rule.
No, we don't even. They don't even explain what they rule anymore now because of the shadow docket.
Right.
The point, though, is that there will, from time to time, be extremes on both ends of the political spectrum with respect to the Supreme Court.
Sure.
But the problem that I have is that the Republicans control every single level of the political life.
Yeah.
Even the level where they have the majority of states, which means that if there's a contested election and it goes to the House of Representatives, they're in control. They have the majority of a lot of things, not to mention all of Congress, most of the states, the Supreme Court, and now the executive.
Yeah.
And Trump's nature as a person and his needs are going to filter through the federal government down all the way down because he's attracting all these kinds of people. And they are looking for every way that they can get their way and or enrich themselves by looking for what the law does not say. So, for instance, right now, we're headed into a big fight over redistricting because of what Texas did. Yes. Well, somebody tells Trump, hey, you know what? The Constitution says you have to take a census every 10 years. It does not prohibit you from doing it. It doesn't say only every 10 years. Oh, this is perfect.
Ooh. Not
right?
Only.
Well, most people would go, okay, the founders want us to take a census every 10 years, says every 10 years take a census. It never occurs to us to go, but it doesn't say
not,
right? So he's filling the government up with people who can think this way.
Yeah, they're like, you read that too? I read that.
Yeah, you read that? Right. So everybody's, it's like every day, all day, they're coming up with, okay, well, no, we can send the Marines in because it's an emergency. I'm calling a, quote, literally, a crime emergency, right? And Congress has discovered that because it's so fat and lazy, that it has given away all its power to the executive branch because we don't want to be bothered if there is an actual emergency and we all have to come back and sit down and argue over what do we do and
power to him.
It seems cleaner, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then we write in some weasel stuff that says something like, oh, yeah, you get to do this for 30 days, but you have to report back to Congress, and here's some limits. And he just goes, okay, sure, I'll do it, takes it, ignores the limit, and Congress is over there going, well, now he owns Congress. He is literally the most unrestrained president that I can think of, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, who was busy trying to save the Union.
Yeah.
Well, incidentally.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Just one last thought on this part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't say anything explicit in the Constitution that says you can't leave the Union.
Great.
A state can't leave the Union. And every time I read the Constitution, which I probably read it another dozen times now since we last talked, I'm looking for, it is simply not in there. You have to do an inference on top of an inference and then really stretch it, and then you might be able to make an argument that the founders just assumed that we would all stay together. There is nothing overtly illegal about saying, I don't want to be in a club anymore. South Carolina is going to take off, or Texas is going to take off. I'm just saying, this is how they think.
Yeah.
And this is how the rule of law gets subverted, because regular people, given enough time, if this keeps going, are going to find that corruption just starts showing up above its normal level.
Mm.
Okay. You know, there's a level of corruption that society must tolerate. You cannot stamp out corruption. You just
Mm.
can't. You
Yeah.
can't stamp out homelessness unless you euthanize them all, which I'm surprised hasn't occurred to these idiots. But
Don't say that too loud. Yeah.
okay. But I mean, they're deadly. A lot of people are going to lose their life because of this.
So I wanna like mention two things for like we got a couple minutes left here,
Sure.
and then let's if we can talk about the rule of law piece as well. One thing, we talked a couple of years ago about what's ahead for, let's say, if Trump wins again, and now he's won again. He's 7 months into office, and I would pose to you questions about my fears or concerns that couldn't he, once he's in office, use democratic means to dismantle the institutions that prevent the unitary executive, a king, almighty president. And to some extent, I think you said, yeah, but there have to, all these things have to happen. And, I guess my point with it is, it seems like it's all happening in all of the ways that we couldn't even have imagined. I mean, the whole redistricting thing, mid census, in the middle of 10 years in Texas right now, to redraw the maps in Texas to gerrymander their state to get 5 more seats. Now California is responding. That plus what you just said about, well, it doesn't say it's in the Constitution that you can't leave the Union. I mean, if there is any way, they will find it, and if there's not a way, they will make it, and then they have the Supreme Court and the Congress to allow it. And so, I mean, to me, it feels like we're like really in dire straits in terms of if the Democrats don't take the House back in 2026. I mean, I don't know if there's any going back except for a revolution in a decade or two over the course of time of, like this is it. And before you respond to that, I just want to say in the comment of many people will die, you said many people will suffer, etc. Just to list a few things from the, let's say, pro-life Republican side, couple and the states' rights Republican people who are now sending the military into U.S. cities. A couple of the things that have happened that are, freezing USAID or eliminating aid is expected to have cause an additional 14 million deaths. PEPFAR and global HIV program cuts expected to have around 4 million additional AIDS-related deaths, cuts to tuberculosis funding, reinstating the Mexico City policy to remain, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, ending, funding for mRNA vaccination research, which is absolutely groundbreaking, could solve cancer. EPA rollback, so Environmental Protection Agency taking out the foundation of that. So now, carbon emissions are good now. Like, of course, climate change, what's that? So
Drill, baby, drill.
of course, everything they say is predicated on some bullshit. But I just wanted to list a couple of those highlights in terms of the things that are causing that will cause or have caused or are going to cause death and despair and destruction. But to the point, and maybe just for the last few minutes to close out with regards to, besides the degradation of the rule of law, which we talked about as well, is the moment will come where will Trump defy the Supreme Court if he gets an order that isn't like, you could argue now there's been situations where it's around the fringes, around the edges where he's already done it. It hasn't been the glaring example that we need where it's like they say no and he says yes, and it's just super obvious. To the point of, is he dismantling everything, and are we on the, 5 alarm fire place with regards to if we don't win the midterm elections and the whole dismantling of everything? Yeah, I don't know what the
Okay,
question
well,
is. We're fucked. Yeah.
I mean, I think that one of the things that I rely on, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I do,
Yeah.
is that corruption increases over time. Xi Jinping or Mao Zedong or Stalin or Hitler or Putin or any corrupt government that's in power
Mm-hmm.
does not plateau. It never goes to a plateau and says, hey,
You're
this is
less
pretty
corrupt.
good. We're corrupt enough.
Less corrupt. Yeah, right.
It doesn't work that way.
Sure.
They, just like totalitarian dictatorial regimes, and that are basically by definition corrupt,
Yeah.
have the seeds of their own destruction embedded in them.
Yes. Right.
Okay? So the arc of this corruption is a different story. When you have, you can't imagine, unless you studied it, and even then it's hard to even get your head around the level of corruption and control that Stalin and Mao Zedong had. These two guys were the supernovas of it. And so as a result, it lasted very long, decades. And it was beyond counting how deadly and devastating it was. The conservative estimates from Stalin's time was 25 million people.
Yeah.
Directly, right? Just
Killed. Yeah.
And Mao Zedong, they're still arguing over it because we don't have some of the information. And the estimates range from 30 million to 80 million. Okay, so these are the poster childs of what corruption looks like when it's total, it's absolute, and there's no way out except for death.
Yeah.
Okay?
Where do we?
We don't stand anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Everything that he's done so far has been nibbling on the edges. Okay? It hasn't gotten near a vital organ yet. However, for the American people, he did something that never occurred to me. He didn't hint about it. And when I go back and study, I discover that he has been in love with this idea since the 80s and has publicly talked about it, and that's tariffs.
Yeah.
I did not see that. Now, his idea and what he's doing is so bad, so destructive, that he has decided it's almost as if, what's the one thing I could do that it could accelerate my demise? That's tariffs.
And
when you start wrecking the economy, all right, people notice that. They don't notice the rule of law. They wouldn't. You could run them over with a bus and they wouldn't notice it. People don't pay attention to politics. They've written off politics. They don't know anything about it. They have no idea the civil structure we operate. None of it matters. But you mess with the economy,
people notice. Yeah.
People start going, wait a minute. Okay? Yeah. And he's messing with it in two ways. A, the tariffs. B, the deficits. And oh, by the way, you got to throw in the immigration, right? Okay.
Right, taking labor as well.
Taking the labor out. His thinking is so bad that he is poured gasoline on himself and is lit the damn thing. And the pain that's going to show up, unless something changes about this, is just now barely showing up.
Yeah, yeah. Because we're in August right now, and I heard
now
last week or so that the inflation numbers for wholesalers has already gone up. This is where restaurants buy their food and stuff. So it hasn't trickled down to people shopping at the store.
You're just smelling the smoke.
Yeah. So but how long until the tariff effect? Assuming it doesn't really change, but he's changing it constantly. But what do you think?
He keeps delaying China.
Right, which is the whole interesting. But
that's the biggest one. Right. But even so, the tariffs on things like copper, steel, aluminum, chips, blah, 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 all this other stuff, the 10% on everybody, all this stuff he's doing is bad enough.
Okay.
But the other shoe hasn't fallen with China.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
China has all the leverage, and he doesn't know how to get leverage over China.
Yeah.
Right. So he keeps delaying it. He delayed it twice now, right? 180 days. He's delayed China 6 months so far.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he may be hacking away at the institutions, and he has all the power to do it. And he's got the right kind of people who are scam artists and all of this that are thinking about what's a way around this law? What law can we find from the 17th century that we can plug in here that gives us the right to do whatever we want, right?
Right.
But the economy and what he's done, this I didn't expect. But it's wonderful because he has pulled all of the pain forward.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay. We haven't got anywhere near the pain, but people are starting to go, you smell smoke. Okay. So
Okay.
wait for it. And listen, I understand there's going to be a lot more casualties.
Yeah.
Right. And I hope to God we don't have any other kind of medical emergency like a pandemic of any kind, because having these guys in charge is worse than you can imagine. But I mean,
get rid of the pandemic.
right. I mean, a lot of people estimate a lot higher, but I estimate that probably 200,000 Americans died unnecessarily because of his administration, his first administration during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill anybody himself. But
stops them from living.
Yeah. And people are starting to notice, like with the immigration, how rough it is. In other words, it looks like Hitler's brown shirts.
Yeah.
We used to call policemen peace officers. The militarization of ICE, he literally has gotten himself his own little army.
I know. And now with the big, beautiful, awful bill that's passed, now the ICE is the largest law enforcement organization in the United States, ever, bigger than like 18 armies of the world. This is some scary shit. It hasn't even gone into effect yet.
That's right. That's right. So will the institutions hold? You know, there's the pushback is going to, there's a big lag time on pushback, right? People don't pay attention. They don't know. It has to start to affect them directly.
Right.
And you can see this starting to happen. Republicans are having town meetings and it's not going well. You know, but there's a big difference. You know, 5 million people did not vote in the 2024 election compared to the 2020 election.
God, it's insane.
Where did they go? Didn't vote at all.
You know, it's me to think about this. This would be solved if people just voted. I mean, if yeah.
Right. So the midterms will tell us a lot, and I hope his behavior gets more outrageous over the next 12 months.
Yeah,
we need to root for him to be as bad and as crazy as he can be, because otherwise, I mean, if he had a lick of sense, he would, you know, not constantly do stuff to stay in the public eye and to do all this. But that he's not built that way. He's driven, right?
It's amazing how much he could get away with. I mean, he is getting away with, but he could continue to get away with if he just did a little less pain, because he can do a lot of pain and not wait.
But don't kill the patient, you know.
To keep him.
But you know, this is what he does, right? He has killed everything he's touched.
Yeah.
If you look at his career, he has killed everything he's touched.
That's true.
He's the worst businessman who has convinced everyone that he's the best businessman.
And that is and that goes to your initial point. He's a con man, and that is his one.
He has been that way day one. And so I comfort myself by watching him get worse every day, saying, Come on, buddy, you can do worse than that.
More
Let's
crazy
go.
shit.
Come on, you can do worse than that.
Yeah.
Because that's all the American people will notice, right?
Yeah. I'll bet.
Eventually, they're going to start noticing, and you can see the leading edge of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you see that leading edge in red states a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to maybe we put a pin in this for now, and then we check back in over the year and over the next, several months of what's your prediction? Just a quick like one off. When will the tariff pain be sufficiently in full swing where people are starting to scratch their neck a little? And what are we thinking? Is it August right now, 2025? What are we thinking? Christmas?
Yeah,
Yeah,
one wild card is what's going to happen with China, because
right.
China is the
That's
800-pound gorilla.
right.
If he keeps slipping the thing on China because he's afraid, right? Even he and his little lizard brain kind of has got an idea like, ooh. But
Yeah.
let's just say he keeps pushing China out, and
Yeah.
tariffs as they are today continue.
Well,
I think it doesn't show up until close to Christmas,
okay.
and that's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Right, because people spend a lot of money at Christmas.
Yeah, right. But his genius, he'll probably push it out till January when he'll figure out how to, reduce the pain. But anyway, we'll see. We'll come
how's
back.
he going to do that? once
Who
you
knows?
get this ball rolling, there's a 3-month lag time just in the supply chain, right?
Sure. Everything's ordered already for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
Christmas.
You can't just like stop it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well,
So I'd say look for the holidays, right, to really have an impact. If China is not under a tariff regime.
Gotcha. All right. So summarizing, rule of law is under attack egregiously. Nobody's seeing it except unless you're paying
It's
it.
very subtle.
Americans won't pay attention unless their pocketbook is hit. It's the economy stupid, as James Carville said. So we'll check back later this year. Our next episode, maybe we'll talk about some other not so centrally focused on Trump talk. And maybe we talk about China and what's going on there. So not every episode has to be so political, even though everything is political in the end.
Yeah. I mean,
on that.
It's based on, the polis, the Greek word, the people. It's us. We are political animals, and we interact politically.
Yeah, everything's political. Yeah,
everything's political.
It's the bolus.
The polis, not the bolus.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, let's do this again soon. We're gonna come out with another episode more frequently. And thank you, Dad. Appreciate the insights as always.
Hey.
I mean, we could talk for hours on this one topic. We didn't even mention, Trump's meeting in Alaska with Putin. Giving away the literal red carpet to the dictator.
This is the theater of the absurd now, boy.
Yeah, release the Epstein files. Yeah, let's get back to that.
Look,
all right,
squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe they're in his bathroom, probably next to the other files.
All right,
Dad. I love you.
I love you too. Sayonara for now.
All right, see ya.